The Houston Rockets are split on whether or not to take the 10th overall pick or trade it away for an NBA superstar. But according to a new draft report, it has the Houston Rockets picking up another guard to add to its already deep roster. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rockets Digest. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo, where we talk about the latest news, rumors, and updates regarding your Houston Rockets. And if you want to stay up to date with all the offseason moves, hit that subscribe button below. We are going to be covering it all off season. 87.3% of you are watching these videos but are not yet subscribed. So if you like the Houston Rockets, hit that button below. Now, today we are talking about, the Houston Rockets and their 10th overall pick. There's been a lot of discourse on what the Houston Rockets are going to do at that spot. Are they going to trade it away to land a guy like KD or to land a guy like Giannis or the many, many other trade prospects that are out there on the Boston Celtics? Derek White, Jalen Brown, guys like Trae Young, John Morant have been thrown in the arena in terms of that aspect. But what a lot of people kind of forget is actually taking the 10th overall pick. And if the Houston Rockets were to do so, who is the most likely guy that they are going to add to their roster next season? There's been a lot of, opinions on whether or not they need to draft a shooter, whether or not they need to draft a big, whether or not they need to draft a guard. But according to a new report, it has that the Houston Rockets have been frequently linked to drafting Kasparas Jakucionis from the University of Illinois. And so we're going to break down who this player is and what value he brings to the Houston Rockets. Now, frequently linked. This is from Hoops Hype about all these mock drafts. What they did was the rankings reflect the composite score of 10 mock drafts. That's ESPN, CBS Sports, The Athletic, Bleacher Report, all those you see there listed to get a feel for the overall consensus. So it takes from all these sources and it says, okay, from all these, 10 scores, which players are more likely to head to what team? And Kasparas Jakucionis is the guy that has been frequently linked to the Houston Rockets. And so here is the young player. He is a guard, number 32 from the University of Illinois. He was a freshman last year. He stands at 6'6", 200 pounds, from Lithuania. He is a European basketball player. And so here are his stats from last season. And very solid numbers for a guy playing in the Big Ten. He's averaging 15 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, 4.7 assists, 44 field goal percentage. We'll touch base on that a little later. But he had a fantastic freshman year at the University of Illinois. They made the postseason. Didn't get too far into that postseason, but nevertheless, a very solid team over there. And I want to take a look at what they're saying from this article. From Ben DeBose of Rockets Wire writes, they would like someone who fits Ime Udoka's switchable and high IQ system. Kasparas Jakucionis is a top guard prospect, combining elite playmaking with excellent size and offensive versatility. The Illinois freshman showcased advanced floor vision and pick-and-roll mastery, operating as a primary initiator while maintaining efficient decision-making. Now, there's some valuable aspects in getting a guy like Jakucionis. So many scouts and so many front office people are super high on him. They believe, the way he plays, his style of play is going to be something that is going to be beneficial for any team. He's a playmaker in and out. He's a great passer. He's always looking for those open guys, cutting or, catch and shoot. And so he's a very, very solid player in that aspect. And so the other thing that Houston Rockets fans and why they're so split on getting a guy like Jakucionis is because we already have so many guards on this roster already. And some of them don't even really play that much. There's guys like Cam Whitmore, guys like Reed Shepherd, who are on the roster, very talented guys, but don't see the floor too often. So there's been a lot of say in terms of why draft a guy when you don't necessarily need him next year, right? Of course, you can always develop players for the next 2 to 3 years, but why draft it now when we want to win now and we want to win a championship in the next 3 to 4 years, right? And so that is the basis of why Houston Rockets fans are possibly split on this issue. And so we're going to go back to what they are saying about him and what some of his weaknesses are in terms of his play. Why wouldn't we draft a guy like Kasparas? And Ben DuBose continues to write. He says his ability to play both on and off the ball adds valuable lineup flexibility, though his inconsistent three-point shooting and modest transition production currently limit his ceiling. Defensively, he uses his length well, but lacks elite quickness, raising questions about his ability to contain NBA guards. He continues, while not an explosive athlete, his high basketball IQ, international experience, and well-rounded skill set make him a strong lottery candidate for teams seeking a big, creative guard who can develop into a starting caliber playmaker. End quote. So very interesting things to break down from Ben DuBose there. So this is a guy who's a very solid playmaker and has starting potential. Like he will be a starting point guard in the future. And so if you're the Houston Rockets, Fred VanVleet is not going to be here forever, right? Like there's going to have to be some sort of backup plan, some sort of new person they are going to have to add to this roster who can be their lead facilitator down the stretch. Now, whether it's going to be Kasparas sooner or later, that is yet to be determined. But I can see the logical reasoning of getting a guy like that. However, as many Rockets fans have pointed out, as much as they have stressed, this team absolutely needs a shooter. And if you draft a guy like Kasparas Jakucionis, he is not the best three-point field goal percentage among the shooters in the NBA draft. Overall, he's 44%, but a lot of that is more drives to the basket, not necessarily spot shooting. He is not the best shooter in terms of that aspect. He is a 31% three-point shooter, which, quite frankly, is not what the Houston Rockets are looking for in that aspect. But overall, right, when you consider a guy like him, it begs to question where the Houston Rockets, what their mentality is going into this draft. And what this tells me, right, with all these mock drafts coming out, it becomes more clear to me that their shooting problem, they're not looking to fix that with a draft prospect with a draft prospect. To me, if they're going to fix that issue, that is going to be in either free agency or trades. There's no one in this draft who could right off the bat, help this team go into the playoffs next year, get past the first round, get past the second, and make their way to either the Western Conference Finals or the NBA Finals. And so GM Rafael Stone, I can see him looking at this draft and say, okay, we can still draft somebody now with the intention of trading, not necessarily that pick away, but trading other players to acquire more talented shooters in that aspect. Because if you really think about it, if they really and truly are invested in a guy like Kasparas Jakucionis, who will certainly be a lead point guard in this league in a few years, it's probably worth drafting a guy like that now to build for your future. Now, of course, there's guys out there like Cam Whitmore and Reed Sheppard who are on this team currently who are fantastic basketball players. Reed Sheppard, I think his ceiling is very, very high. Same with Cam Whitmore. Cam Whitmore is one of those pure kind of young scorers in this league has to offer. Hasn't really been given the minutes that he would like to play, of course, but that he probably deserves to play at some point. And so it's going to be interesting to see where the front office sees these two in terms of their roster next year. Because again, you see a lot of these trade reports coming out. And you see all these sorts of things. And some of the guys that are the most common in those trade reports are Cam Whitmore and Reed Sheppard. And so if a trade was to be made, you can see these guys heading out. But also, if they draft a guy like Kasparas, then it also is clear to me that they are looking at these guys and possibly moving them to acquire the shooters that they so desperately need. So, I want you to tell me, do you think the Houston Rockets should draft another guard onto this team with their 10th overall pick, or do you think they really should get a shooter like, Con Knippel or someone like that? What do you think the Houston Rockets should do? with that 10th pick. Is this a good pick? Is this not a good pick? Let me know in the comments. We'll see you next time on Rockets Digest.